Okay. Um, Welcome to our first official podcast. Thank you, Baka, for listening. Not sure what I'm going to call this podcast station, but I'm glad to, on your behalf, be your host today because I have the questions. But my guest or my partner,
Nani.
my partner is who?
Dev.
Devaney Martinez. Yes. So today, our podcast is going to be more geared towards the horror genre, and I just really ask, random questions and see kind of friends' views also, or just your view, Baka, or whoever's listening, their views on these subjects. Not all of this subject is true. It's going to be opinions and anecdotal evidences, so stuff like that. So it's up to you to decide whether you believe it or not, right? But this is going to be kind of like a scary podcast, isn't that right, Dev?
Spooky.
All right. So since you just already said the word spooky, what is your idea of spooky, scary?
The unknown. Like things that you're not certain about.
What do you mean?
Sort of like the deep sea. You don't.
Okay.
There's not much knowledge about it, which makes it sort of scary and obscure, as well as um like the idea of demons and ghosts and all of that. Same with that, because you don't know much about it.
Oh, hold your
Cause
horses. We
oh,
ain't
okay,
going that
okay,
far
okay,
yet.
okay,
But
okay.
yes, yes, yes. No, yeah, definitely. Have you never been swimming?
Yeah,
Like, I mean, like in the ocean,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
like.
yeah.
And so you do you have a fear of swimming?
No, I actually don't, cause I only stay on the shore.
Oh, that's probably why. Well, I mean, have you ever had like any childhood nightmares or anything that you were always afraid of?
I used to have this one dream, and it was really, really odd. It it was like in the dark. It was in an old apartment complex that I used to live in. Um, it would always scare me. It was like this
How long?
man,
How long
huh?
wait? How long did you live in this apartment complex?
For a while, like almost half of my childhood.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and this dream, it was like it had a weird color scheme too.
It was a dream.
Yeah, it was a dream. It was like black and yellow, and it was always about
Like
this.
yellow, like yellow.
And
Okay, yeah, you're saying.
it's always about this like weird man. I could never see his face, and he was like in black, and like he had this hat on. Um, can't describe it. I don't know how to describe it, but he had a hat on, and I would never see his face because it was covered with a shadow. And I remember running away from him, and I was running in the streets of downtown, and the
This is like
lights,
downtown Austin.
yeah, and like the lights were yellow, and it was super dark, and the only like thing you could see is if they passed by the light. And
Mm-hmm.
so I was running, and this guy was like behind me, like running towards me as well. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, and I had that dream like almost every other night when I was a kid. Like when I lived in those apartment complexes.
Oh, okay. And was he tall?
Yeah, he was tall. Yeah.
It kind of reminds me of I forget what his name is, but he's someone comic book.
Which
It's
what?
the dude with it's like the smiley face one. It's like the hero comic book. I forgot what it's called.
I don't think I've heard of it.
You have.
I have?
I yes, I know it. Give me one sec. I'm talking about what is it called? Give me one second here. I'm looking at the photo. What's his face? What's his name? He has his the mask. Oh, Watchmen.
Watchmen.
Yeah, you know what that is.
Hold up, wait.
You remember you used to have that one photo of the dude who was like all naked and he was blue?
Oh! The hydrogen dude?
What? I don't want to get too off topic, but
He was blue, he was naked. Did he have like a symbol on his forehead?
yeah.
Yeah, that dude, that dude.
But that's yeah. But besides the point, the guy that I'm thinking of, from Watchmen that I'm saying that kind of reminds me of what you just talked
Described.
about is what's his name? It's
Oh! Oh
his
my god, yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, like when he's in that
uh
coat.
I can't even pronounce his name, man. Vorshar? I can't. Let me see if I can send you a photo.
No, look like this. The guy in the dream looked like this. Do you see it?
Yeah, like that guy. That's what the guy looked like.
Yeah, that's what the guy looked like in my dream.
It was probably. Oh, yeah, that's the guy I'm talking about.
And it was
And
that color scheme, black and yellow.
so he kind of looks the same.
Mhm.
You never watched this when you were a kid or anything like
Mm-mm.
that?
Nope.
Hmm. All right. And so, anything else that you had? I mean, as a child.
Mm-mm. I think that was the only thing. Oh no, actually, I did have this other one.
All right.
It was so weird. I don't know what I think it was like. It was around the time that I was coming out with like not coming out. It was like realizing
Mhm.
like who I was. Like
J- Yeah, I,
it
I
was
get your point.
okay. Yeah, it was like in middle school, and I would have
Mhm.
these dreams. It's really weird dreams about
Uh
this demon who I became friends with. And I thought, oh my god, this demon is really cool, you know? And the
huh.
church would always bash on him and like they hated him, they wanted to kill him. And I
Mhm.
remember like they were doing a ritual and they were about to kill him and I ran in and then like I stopped it. I
Mhm.
stopped them from killing him. Like I felt I don't know, like a conflicted, you know?
And why is that?
Cuz the friend that I made is like a demon and the church is seen as like you know how like it's like hell and heaven, good and bad.
Mhm.
I was conflicted on what was good and what was bad.
Yeah. And so that was when you're like, let's say, how can I word it? Kind of in a way, society was and like all these ideas were kind of conflicting you at the time. So that's your nightmare, right?
Yeah, also I was always doubting the church,
Mhm.
so I don't know.
And so in this one, which is a good point. Actually, I'll get to it later because the questions, the way they work. But did you hear any folklore when you were a child?
No.
No.
Well, maybe, but
Did that
oh,
did
actually,
that ever mm,
mm, no,
did
I
that ever
didn't.
play a part? Like, did that ever play a part in any of your nightmares or like stuff like that?
I would have a dream about like a vampire chasing me, but that's about it.
That's about it. Well, me and since I need to also share, for my childhood nightmares, I would say more. It wasn't a, it wasn't a nightmare. You know,
Mhm.
it's more like it was in person. What is it? Every time, you know, like your mother always sleeps with you, right? Or like your
Yeah.
father. I mean, I don't know how when you're a girl how it works. If it's, I don't know if it's your mom or your dad who sleeps with you.
Mhm.
Which one is it though?
I would usually sleep with my mom. Wait, what do you is that what you were
Oh, yeah,
asking?
yeah, 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 yeah. That's what I was asking you.
Okay, okay.
And so, so okay, so every time my mom, you know, like sometimes she'd be like, ah, I'll sleep with you in a bit, or like I'll come back later. She wouldn't come back. It's not that she was a bad mother. It's just that
Yeah,
she was tired, right? So
yeah.
I was like I was like 4 or 5, you know, and I'd be left alone in the bed. And then I remember I would always have my light from the closet on,
Yeah.
and my windows they go outside, like face outside, like to the front lawn.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Um, I would always have the blinds open. I don't know why,
What
but
the what? Oh, that's
and
spooky.
I would also have my the hallway door open. Does
Mm.
that make sense?
Mhm.
So like I had everything open. And I remember I would always have like hallucinations as a child.
Wait, was it like sleep paralysis?
No, like I was awake. It was like, but I mean, I wouldn't say it worked like that.
Mhm.
But I
I
would
mean,
see like, let me see if I can look a photo up.
it's
What it
so
what it,
weird. Huh? Yeah, go ahead.
what what it basically was. Let me see. Um, in short sense, it would always start off in like the morning. I mean, at the night. Um, like I would always like I peek through the blinds, and the kind of people that would like that were there were like these small like disfigured like midgets.
What the? So me?
No, no, no. Like their bodies would be small,
Uh huh.
but like their
Disfigured.
heads would be, yeah, like their heads would be like larger, and they'd be like indented everywhere and stuff like that. And so like three of them would be like chilling out like at the parking lot.
Oh
I'm
my
in the
god.
driveway, and like they would always like look through the windows or something.
Mhm.
And then there would also be some of them like it'd be like families or like groups of them walking back and forth through the hallways,
The hallways of
and
your
like
house?
yeah, and ever so often they would like one of them would peek in through the doors and like just leave, you know.
What? And you would hallucinate this?
I mean that's what I think it is. I'm not sure. I mean,
The-
so the thing with our old house is I don't think it's haunted,
mhm.
but oh, like here's a good photo. Let me see if I can send it to you. I was just looking at random stuff,
Wait,
and
hold
it's
up.
not so like as we talk about the podcast, I'm gonna throw images up on the screen,
Yeah.
and it's not if it's like offensive because they're like 'cause I'm gonna show you like what I thought the faces kind of look like. In no way it's offensive, you know. Like I'm not trying to make fun of these people or anything, you
Mhm.
know.
Wait,
Let's
hold up.
see.
I'm sort of spooked and my closet is open. I'm gonna close it real quick.
But what it was, that's not it yet. I haven't finished. You still there? Hello?
Okay, I'm back.
Oh, she went to go close the closet. Yeah, you're back?
Yeah.
What I was trying to say is, yeah, they would always like, walking back and forth, and it would usually take me like 30 minutes or so to sleep. And that was like all the time, you know? Like
Mhm.
it was like day and night. So yeah, that's the photo right there.
Wait, day and night?
Sorry, I meant, but by day and night I mean as in like it was every day.
Oh, okay, I see.
But like that, but worse, you know, like more.
Yeah, more disfigured.
Um, but yeah, I'm sure that woman's beautiful. I don't know who that is. But so that was one, and then there was also one when I was like 8 or 9.
Mhm.
So my dad had an office that led straight like down, straight like. So before you went outside, you can open a door, and there'd be his office, and then from his office you can go outside.
Oh, okay.
That,
Oh, oh wait, yeah, I know what you mean.
and so I remember once, I was like walking, and then like I saw this like tall gray dude, and
Mhm.
he walked through the kitchen. I thought it was my dad. I was like, Papa, you know, like dad.
Mhm.
And then he went into his office, and so I was like, oh, he's just gonna go do his office work. So like I was like, oh, I'm gonna see what he's doing. So I walked into the office, and then there's nothing there. And I remember it was like a tall gray dude, and then I asked my dad. I was like, was that you? And he was like, nah, I haven't been in the office all day. And
What
so I was like, oh,
the?
that's kind of weird.
It
But
didn't.
then,
Okay.
huh?
Not like you didn't question it. You were just like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I didn't question it. Um, there's also one where it was my brother. We were like in, I think it was I was in 5th grade, so he
Mm.
must have been like, I don't know. He was probably in 8th grade. Um, he saw like my mom had gotten like off of work, and so she dropped us off. And he said he saw like a lady in red walk in through the doors, and went to the kitchen to sit down. And then he asked my mom, "Hey, who'd you invite?" And my mom was like, "I didn't invite anybody. There's no one home."
Mhm.
And so, and my brother started crying, and we had to call like
It's
grandpa
so
to come over,
cute.
and
Why?
cause I'll tell you, wait, give me a second. I need to drink water.
Okay.
So yeah, it's funny because
Like
so
it's so
during
funny.
during during that time,
Uh huh.
uh, we had me and my brother had a Wii,
Yeah.
and as when the Wii came out, that was like kind of like as a teenager, that was your first access to the internet because it was 2006. So I
Mhm.
mean, the only other way was through either this crappy HP that was like thick, and you couldn't afford that, or it was like a flip phone.
Yeah.
But we were too young to have phones, so it was the Wii that we got our internet from.
Mhm.
And so that's when like the whole like YouTube era started. And so me and my brother were really into and so was my cousin. Whenever he came over, you know, we wanted to see something risky, so we'd always go like on, not like that stuff, but subliminal
Uh
like
huh.
thing. And you know how Mexicans are, right?
How?
Like, oh, like these ghosts, the witchcraft, all this stuff.
Oh, like superstitious, sort of.
Yeah, so we were really into that.
Oh.
And I don't know if playing a part in that uh, caused it, because we also did like we did a bunch of stupid things to like we'd be like, oh, if you're, you know, like we do like little rituals, but like not rituals as in like satanic stuff, more like
Yeah. Like, oh, if you
things
say Bloody Mary 3 times in the restroom, like
that
that.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, or we'd be like, if there's a ghost, like bitch, you won't show up, stuff like that. You know, like calling out.
Yeah, yeah.
And so, and we'd also do things where it's like, if you leave food out, you know that thing, a Mexican thing, where, or I don't know if it's just Mexican, but if you leave food out, um, and like you say the dead person's name 3 times,
I've never heard of
so
that.
so we would do it for like our dead grandpa. because
Oh.
he loved peanut butter. So he'd put peanut butter on a plate and una concha,
Yeah.
and we'd say his name or something, and then overnight he would like. We used to think he would extract the taste of the food, so ghosts wouldn't be able to eat food, but extract the taste and
Uh-huh.
remove all the taste from the food. And so we'd leave it overnight and like, oh, he ate it, stuff like that.
Mhm.
So I don't know if that plays a role. Um, but so, because the thing is, my grandpa, he lives in Reynosa, which is like the city next to the border in Mexico,
Yeah.
and he is basically like the foundation to Ghost in our family.
He introduced you
Um,
guys.
yeah, because I mean, his house has a lot of like
Antique stuff?
no. I'll put a photo of his house later on if I can find it.
Okay.
But his like the property that he owns has like a bunch of uh it has so much memories. His house, he has like a big piece of property.
Mhm.
I he, he used to own, like my mom used to live in this house, and it was it was so big that it wasn't really that big, but I mean for Mexico, that
Yeah.
like half of the house used to be like a ice cream hangout spot, and then the other half was where my mom lived and my grandpa and all that, right?
Uh-huh.
But so there's like so many. My grandpa tells so many stories, but I mean, do you want to listen to them?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I don't. I don't want to talk too much. That's why.
No, no, no. Go ahead.
In the mic, you can hear me well. You can hear me well, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not speaking too fast.
No.
All right. So the way, okay,
The
I'll
way.
start with the first one. Do you know the way? Um, so my grandpa, when he first bought the property,
Mhm.
he had every like all the family like clean out um the house and make sure there was like no dust, because he said there was like footprints on the in the house, and he just like they're like, oh, that's people come in, they see the house, they you know collects
Yeah.
dust, uh so they wanted to clean it up. um I'm not He told me a story when I was like 12, so I forgot a little bit, but I think he said they weren't sleeping in the house yet, right? And after they cleaned it, they left, and then the following day when they came back, there was the same footprints. They like not at the same spot. They came back like in the
Okay.
house.
Yeah.
Um, so there's that one. My grandpa also said that back then, before buying the property, to his ice cream, which is like connected to the house.
Mhm.
Um, he said, I think he told me that I don't know if they told him first, but that I mean, a family before them used to live there.
Mhm.
And he says that after he sold the property to the ice cream, or I even think during he had the property, but he still has it. But I mean, as in like he was open as an ice cream shop.
Mhm.
Um, he said in the woman's restroom at night, if you were quiet enough and you would stick around and not bother, there'd be like he said it was like he would see a girl, because there's like a tiny window that you can peek your eyes into and you can
Yeah.
see the restroom.
Oh,
And he said
okay.
it was just adorable, adorable little girl, and she had the most beautiful voice. That's what he says.
Hmm.
And even my parents sometimes are like, yeah, I mean, because my mom, but I mean, mom's been older, so she thinks it's like it was just back then, like
Yeah.
her being her. And so it was like, my grandpa says it was like a beautiful, beautiful girl singing. Um, but that's if you were quiet enough. If you were too loud, uh, you would interrupt her, and she would just leave.
Did you
And she
ever
would
get to
come. Hmm?
Did he ever get to see her?
Mm, nah. Cause I mean, but that was happening during like 1980s, you know. So like, and we don't know how ghost works, and stuff like that. And we'll get
Mm.
to that in a bit. But let me see if I can look it up real quick. But yeah, it was that. And then what else? He would also tell me just things where he would see like in his house, like while he was asleep, um, he would just hear like footsteps
In the house?
and yeah, and stuff like that. And
So,
then also then in the backyard, it's like let me see if I can actually find if I can find what it looks like. I mean, you'll see like what I mean, but like the house just looks like it was meant to be like haunted. But if you like, I mean, do you have any stories that you can tell right now while I look for it?
yeah, I actually do.
Right. And
I remember when I was in middle school, like in 5th grade, um,
hmm
I lived in this house. It was like a one with my family of four, me, my mom, my brother, and my dad. And
hmm
it was one bedroom, and it was really small. Um, I remember my mom had a really bad dream that
hmm
that the house was being lifted up, and she looked out the window, and there was people chanting, like, I don't
Oh
know.
shit.
Yeah, they were like chanting, like make like a ritual. And my mom
hmm
was like calling 911 and like the firefighters and stuff, and they were like, "Oh my god," she was freaking out. And then
Dang.
yeah, and I also felt like it was strange. Like the house felt strange. I remember one time I was in the restroom,
Yeah.
and I left the lights on, and then I came out, and I had left the lights on. And while I was
hmm
sitting on my bed, I could see that the light turned off, and it stayed like that for a bit, and then it turned back on. But all the other lights were like on, you know. So
Yeah.
it wasn't a like the switches. What is it called when the
The
power? Yeah,
switch.
like the power didn't go off. Yeah.
The switch was still in the same position.
Uh huh.
Is that what you mean?
No, 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 no. Like the power didn't go out. Like the house power.
Oh, but yours went out,
Yeah, but the restroom light kept on turning. Was like turning off and on. It
and this
was
was in the old house.
yeah. It was really, I don't know. It was odd. I remember one time as well that I was walking to school one day, and it
Uh-huh.
was sort of in the morning, and I was always scared of like looking into the cars whenever they're like dark inside, because I'm
hmm
always scared that I'd see something. And then one day I actually turned to look inside, and
Into one of the cars.
yeah, the car was like red and it was small, and I looked into the window, and I saw
Uh-huh.
like a face of a little girl, and I was so freaked out, dude. I ran back into my house,
Wait, into like one of your like
into my cousin's car.
was there like a was there a girl in there?
I don't know. I don't know. There wasn't, cause my cousin,
hmm
she lived with her mom, her
Yeah.
brother, her sister-in-law, and her two kids. They didn't have little girls.
hmm
It was so odd. She was so pale.
All right. Let me see if I can. I'll keep looking for it.
Hmm.
What's another thing I can say?
I hated living there. They tore it down, and there's a bunch of sunflowers growing there now.
So this opens up to the subject of ghosts. Now that we're like finally getting into that stuff,
Mhm.
um, okay. I want you to go into this in your opinion. All right. Try to ignore either any religions, cultures, folklore. What? How do you think a ghost works?
I think it's
And
just,
if they don't exist, what are people just coming up with so many stories, or what's going on?
in my opinion, everything is made out of energy,
Okay.
and that's what's left over when you die. Like, it's your energy, and it's imprinted with your consciousness.
So there's
That's how I think ghost
uh,
works.
so energy. Then how come there's always that thing of good ghosts, bad ghosts? You know?
Yeah, I don't. Maybe it's people with ill intention.
hmm You'd say if they're like before they died, their intentions were bad,
Yeah,
then they keep living that kind of lifestyle.
yeah.
Yeah.
Or if they were, because you know how every person has like dark thoughts and things that they want to do, but due to certain standards, they push those thoughts away and they suppress it. So
And
maybe
are you talking about like are you talking about like what kind of thoughts are you referring to like
like negative thoughts.
alright. Yeah, yeah. Because I mean there are times where people suppress um stuff like oh I can't look at that like shouldn't be looking at that woman or like I messed up like I
Yeah.
suck, stuff like that. But there's also people who oppress. Oh shoot, man!
Yeah, hope.
I swear to God, I thought I saw something walking. I
Especially
but
Pilot. Remember when
no,
Pilot scared the shit out of me whenever we were doing the
this,
test podcast?
yeah. Um. So what I was trying to say was there's also people who oppress thoughts like committing like suicide, massacres, stuff like that.
Yeah, or or like small things also. Like,
Yeah, I see where you're coming from.
yeah, yeah. And after long build up, maybe when they're ghosts, they just like release it all.
hmm Okay, I see.
Or
I
maybe
mean,
our definition of good and bad is not the same since they do live on like a different spectrum once they die.
okay, all right, yeah, I see where you're coming from. I mean, in my opinion, Ghost. I mean, that's a hard one because it's like we all s- we've all experienced it, but not experienced it. If that makes sense.
Hmm, I don't understand. Explain?
Because I haven't come across. I mean, actually, I'll keep this one for like in like for 5 minutes later. I have come across someone who dealt with something greater, but uh, it's like how like you said you saw like a girl in the car.
Yeah.
Yeah, that could that I mean, I I agree with you. I'd say that's a pretty good encounter, but you know what I mean. You never know. Could have been thoughts, stuff like that.
Yeah.
I mean,
And
as in like a for sure. Like you always hear, oh yeah, like a ghost pushed me down the stairs, stuff like that.
mhm.
Um, we've never like gone through something like that, or so I haven't seen anyone. If that makes sense.
Mhm.
So for me, like ghosts, I would say are like so like, if you were to die and you just had like you had no like to you life was just you die, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like, oh, once I'm dead it's just there's nothing before or after. I feel like maybe you're stuck, you know?
Yeah. Like in
And
limbo?
so yeah, like a limbo, yeah. In which a limbo, I mean, depends how you see it. Either as like you have your thoughts of like Stranger Things, Silent Hill kind of limbo,
Yeah.
um,
Like a parallel like
where
world
it's
sort of thing.
same universe, but it's like the dark of it, you know. Have you ever played Silent Hill?
Um the Slenderman game? Wait. Am I wrong?
Oh, Baka, I don't know if you play Silent Hill, Baka, but you, if you do, I'm sure you were just disappointed by that comment. So, do you know?
Oh, oh okay.
Sorry if I pronounced it wrong. Kojima? Kojima?
Kojima?
Kojima. Yeah, I think that's how you pronounce it. Do you know who that is? The game,
Mm.
one of the greatest. Um,
Oh,
he's the one who
yeah.
made Metal Gear Solid and stuff like that, I believe. Uh,
Yeah.
don't count me on that. But yes, so Silent Hill, you've nothing.
No, yeah. I know. The guy with the triangle head?
Yeah. So you do you know how that story works?
No.
S- So basically, for Silent Hill, what it is, and I mean, I guess I don't know, you could see ghosts like that, but it's where the person who goes into the limbo, they've dealt like a great. So I think the story is they dealt a great sin, and they have to repay it, or they have to experience through like. So it's like their sin is so bad, they get caught into limbo.
Mm,
If that
mhm.
makes sense.
Yeah.
And so once they're caught into limbo,
Oh, like they have unfinished business, so they get stuck.
kind of.
Okay.
And so I mean, you could see it that way too. I guess you could say if, but I mean, then that wouldn't explain good ghosts, you know.
Mhm. I mean, good ghosts could have unfinished business too.
Yeah, it could probably just mean that your
Like, oh my god, I
part of
forgot.
you was you haven't finished something. Like to you, when you die, you didn't. It could be where like your connection with reality isn't cut off, so you still think you're on Earth.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Mhm. Yeah. That. Yeah.
So because and so that's when you hit like unfinished business. You haven't finished what you wanted to do, and so that's probably why people are still like they're still ghosts. They haven't finished. It's just their thingies they need to do. Oh, man, I really want to find my grandpa's house. I'm still looking for it, but Mexico. You don't ever like you can't tell what's what in Mexico.
Oh, you on
One
Google
street look
Maps?
one one street yeah one street looks like any other street. But let me see. I'm thinking of is there a location near my grandpa's thing? All right, all right. So what is this?
It's for the image
Oh, okay.
flash. Yeah.
Give me one second right here. Oh, okay. Ooh, I think we're about to get this.
You found
I
it?
think we just let's see.
You close the window.
But yeah. So I mean, if you could elaborate, just give me like 2 more seconds. Elaborate on ghosts or something.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think I found it. Um. So
I feel like there's
yeah.
because you know how people have died all over like the earth. So
Uh huh.
like wherever you walk, there's like probably there was like a dead person like under the ground there,
Uh huh.
and um the idea of that makes ghosts feel a little less scary.
Then is that to say that you're gonna be a ghost?
Mm, I don't
'Cause
know.
I sure as hell ain't gonna be one, alright? I don't wanna be no stuck. That's kind of scary, to be honest. I mean,
I don't know. Maybe I want to stay. Maybe so I can like.
that
Maybe I
that's
can
the thing,
possess
though.
someone. What?
That's the thing, though.
You can't.
So there's this quote. I wouldn't say it's a quote. What if our minds are too small to comprehend the afterlife and how it works and how like fourth dimension all that stuff works?
Yeah.
It's we're so limited that to us ghosts are just like, oh, people walking the earth, but like once we die it's gonna be like whoosh, like
We
there's gonna be,
understand.
yeah, does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah.
Because there is you can tell through animals that there is a substantial difference in intelligence.
Mm.
I mean, compared to a snail to a whale, whale definitely wins. So for all we know,
Wait,
we're on
how do
top of the
you
chain
know?
of the food chain.
Yeah?
We're on top of the food chain, but that doesn't mean we're the smartest thing in like the entire like universe.
Mm-hmm. Oh, no.
Have you ever thought about it like
Yeah,
that?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
What
Yeah.
if there's like something after that's even smarter? Is that because for all we know, this could be like the first life of many's,
Yeah. Yeah. So, wait.
but it may also
Uh,
not. What if
wait.
it probably just cut?
So there's. So it's either you live another life or
Or
you get
doesn't
cut,
necessarily mean live another life.
live the
It
same
could
life.
be, I mean, whichever way you see it, it could be anything. You don't know.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah. I don't know. It's sort of freaky. How I see it
It
is that
and
we're all
what?
aliens.
I wouldn't say we're alien.
How I see it is that we're all aliens, like, because we live in this universe, and if there's another like life, if there's life on in aside from humans and animals, then we would also be considered aliens.
I mean, we're on the food chain. We're no better than like. I mean, we're animals too. So it's not like we're like some kind of demigod. We're not like humans are the ultimate race. Um, but I feel like that's the question that should be asked. It's you can have all this research and you can I mean, for me faith works, but even then I'm not guaranteed, it's never going to be 100%.
Nobody knows except for the dead people.
But the dead people are dead, so they can't tell us, I mean,
Hmm. I mean,
and this one,
there are like
yeah, I mean there's people like, yeah, like come back to life, and who they may be speaking the truth, you always want to experience something, you know
for
just to like
yourself. Yeah.
guarantee it. But then who's going to believe you? I mean,
Yeah. They just think you're a
so
nut
it's like a
job.
it's just a constant stuck. I'll look for the house later on. I'll ask my mom what it is tomorrow morning, and I'll send you photos because I was still looking for it. But let me see. Let me think. Yeah. Yeah. The thing is
Um.
also
Yeah.
if a bit. I we'll go to that one later
Wait.
actually.
If
But
a no, not right now.
no 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 I no 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 no. Okay. So for us, our life is so valuable,
It's what?
is it not? Our life is very valuable.
Oh yeah. because it's the only one you have.
Hmm. Except it could like we can lose it at any second.
Hmm.
We put like I don't know if that fits into your if it's I mean I'm not saying that you're not smart. I'm saying it as in like I don't know if it like if it, you have the same way of how I see it. It's like for, people like die, and so to us we're gonna die too. I mean, and I know that everybody knows that, but I don't know if anybody has actually thought about it like to what it should be.
Um, I I would constantly think about not death, not in a negative way, but as in more of a yeah, I will get there soon. You know, like I'm gonna
And I
experience
mean,
it when it's my
it could
time.
either it could happen today, tomorrow, 50 years, 2 years.
Hmm. But I think like how the majority of the people would see it. I don't want to die if it's not my time.
You want to die later on, but
Yeah, I want to do
you're tired.
things.
So for that, do you think death is decided already before birth,
I um
or is it like life is just sequence, and if
no,
you fall into the wrong sequence, you die?
no. I think it's all about adaptation, possibility, and like and change. How they're all so coordinated because if you see it, nothing that happens on the earth is done by like coincidence. Well, that's what it feels like. And I think that's the same with death as well. It's not. I don't think it's completely random. It's not. It
Let's
doesn't
see.
just. There's a sequence of events that lead up to your death,
Hmm.
and it's like sort of. It's sort of like a math equation.
I mean, because it's interesting to see how death works.
Hmm.
Because how do we know? Because people like a lot of people see death negatively,
Yeah.
and a lot of people see it. Some people see it positively. You'd be surprised. Um, who's to say? You know how?
Are you
Okay,
stuck?
no. I'm just putting him into my mind. So before you're born, as a sperm cell, do do you think there's like that's your before life?
What do
It's
you
like
mean?
you like there is a soul that's like there's a collected soul,
Mhm.
and then once it's your time, the soul's thrown out into the world, and that's you. And then you live this life, and then your soul, something or someone pulls it back out and throws it back into another spot. It doesn't have to be like this kind of life. It doesn't have to be like I mean, you can see it as afterlife where you resurrect to something else.
Mhm.
But what if he throws you back into like where you were from, and now you actually have the eyes and everything to see?
Oh, like wait. What do you mean? Like you're thrown into the world?
Yes, and then you're pulled back out because the body is just.
A vessel that you use
Because
to
have
be
you
in the
ever
physical
like
world?
I don't know if anyone has ever told you, but the body's so perfectly like, and it doesn't have to be about the church. It can be whatever, but it's so perfectly designed.
Uh-huh.
Everything is perfectly designed. The way the sun and the moon, the way the earth,
Yeah, it's all
the
um
way how we're on top of the chain, even though we're terrified of like little spiders.
yeah, I think it's all I don't think it's a coincidence. I think it's all
And you can say it's evolution. Yeah, I mean, yeah. I'm sure there's a big part. I mean, I don't think we came from like a tadpole, like a fish, right? I'm sure, but I'm sure we came from something that was less greater than a human. But
It's
that's to
sort of.
say,
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
whatever we evolved from was still greater and well developed to the point where we were able to sustain our life and come to where we are now. So if you say um, we're so well designed because we evolved from a fish and the fish was, stuff like that.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure that fish was super well designed too because we're still here, if that makes sense.
Yeah. It's all due to change and adaptation, and I feel like unconscious calculation. I don't feel like it's completely random.
And now we hit the subject of we hit ghosts and what they kind of are, right? And
Hmm.
so again, one more time, it doesn't have to be with the church, but exorcisms and possessions and demons. So demon, let me look up what Google term is for that, just to make sure we get the you know proper definition.
Hmm.
And I'm gonna say what a ghost is, just so because I'm sure there's a difference between what both are. Ghost is an apparition of a dead person that is believed to appear or become manifest to the living, typically as a nebulous image. So that's kind of just like a faded image, just what something is there, you know.
Yeah.
While a demon is an evil spirit or devil, especially one thought to possess a person or act as a tormentor in hell.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how do you? So now that we've seen ghosts, what are your thoughts on demons?
I feel like they're not. Oh. So remember that thing where you.
Yeah, yeah. Were you telling me about the one that was helping you out?
Um. Yeah.
That one?
Yeah.
Uh huh.
I feel like demons are just souls that made a contract with the devil to work for him. Like, you know?
That could be true too.
I don't know.
Yeah, I can see where that's
Because
coming
I
from.
remember a story that my dad told me when I was younger. And he said
I mean,
that,
if it's not long, I mean, go ahead and tell it.
oh no, no, it's
Like,
not long. Yeah.
yeah, go ahead.
Um, and he would tell me that this man that would often come visit him and well, he was an acquaintance with his dad. Um,
Hmm.
they said that he made a deal with the devil so he could become like a demon king in the underworld. But his death, he suffered a really, really um painful death. Like he would scream and he'd
Hmm.
be like tormented until he died. So who knows? That's how
So
I
you,
thought.
so you think he made a contract or something?
Hmm.
So, I mean, I don't know where I got this from. I don't know if but with the term for me, what a demon is it's not a ghost. It's a demon. If that makes sense. It's like no. It's
Sorry,
the
sorry.
and yeah, it's like the essence of evil. If that makes sense. So
Yeah.
it's not a person or it's not a object. It's like an entity. Like
So
you know how
all
we have
the
you
all
know how
the
we have
the dark thoughts of human beings,
that could be. I guess yeah. It's like it's born from
the malice.
kind of. I mean, it says here an evil spirit. And if you look up what a spirit is, let me look it up. A spirit is a non-physical part of a person that is the seat of emotions and character, the soul. So for all we know, I don't know how it works, but maybe a spirit instead of like being born into Earth, they're like born into hell.
Oh. So they're
Who knows?
doomed So they're doomed to be.
Yeah, I mean, could be that. But I mean, I don't know, man. I don't know what a demon is. You get where I'm coming from, right?
Yeah, I do. Hmm.
And so, how did you have you ever seen an exorcism, or like,
I watched the movie The Exorcist.
no, that's not a movie. Like, have you ever like seen something?
Never. But you know
So,
what I have seen
what?
in my so I've been going to church since I was born, right?
Mm-hmm. Is
Um,
this a like Christian or Catholic?
Christian,
Right.
and like my mom took me to this like Christian retreat camp,
Uh huh.
and like the women were they said something like it's okay for you guys to cry. Some of you may vomit, and I was like, wait, what? And they were referencing like it sort of seemed like an exorcism, you know? And like these women were crying and they were like like not chanting. I don't know what they were saying. And I don't know, one of them just started throwing up out of nowhere. And
What the
like
hell? What
they
kind of camp did you go to?
and they were like, it says you releasing the
Yeah.
demons, and I was like, what the fuck? Where am I?
You sure it wasn't Catholic?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I've been my parents are Christian.
That's the only thing I do have a problem with is Catholic churches. So what happens is like in a Catholic church, it's like they always have the need to like blame a demon, and like they think in essence like they see everybody as a demon, kind of,
Mm,
and I have seen where like people do that stuff, and that is like that is just the weirdest thing to me.
yeah.
I find it like unnecessary and like really kind of just like I saw a documentary once. I saw it's so bad, man. It's called what's it called? It's on Netflix. Look it up. It's called, I think, Church Camp, something like that. It is like this like it's like an American church, and they go to like a retreat,
hmm
and they're like going hard on these children.
A
Like,
Catholic retreat.
I don't know what it was. I forgot. Um, there's always like so many denominations. Do you know what a
hmm
denomination is?
Mm-mm.
So denomination, what it is since because so many people have different ideas of like churches or religions. This goes also for like Buddhism and stuff like that. I mean, but Buddhism is like global thing, so it's like they only see it one way. But for like a church, there can be people like Jehovah's Witness,
Oh, yeah.
stuff like that. There can also be like, what are the other ones? I
mm,
don't know, but you get where I'm coming from, right?
hmm
So there's like Catholic, Protestantism. I can't
Protestant.
pronounce it. Eastern Orthodox, stuff like that,
hmm
right? Um, and so like with all these denominations, they all like kind of like warp.